Well, guys, I bought the cheapest Ferrari F355 in the country with a clean title. So, is there anything wrong with the car? Spoiler alert, yeah, actually, there's a lot wrong with it. So.
Okay, welcome back to the Drive channel, and this is my Ferrari F355, my 1998 Ferrari F355, also known as the Broko Barchetta. So today's video is going to be about everything that is wrong with the car, and there's actually quite a lot. So we have a fair amount to cover. I'm going to go through all of the things, small and large, but the first large things that are wrong with the car is that the car is an F1. It has the F1 transmission, and it cannot find a gear. And the reason why it can't find a gear is that the actuator. So there's two major parts to the F1 shifter. You got the pump, which is a fairly expensive and complicated unit, and then you have the actuator, which actually does the shifting for you. So, and it uses the pressure from the pump, obviously, to do that. So that's what's leaking. That's also a very expensive unit as well, which is part of the reason why this car was is inexpensive as it was. So that's a major thing. The second thing is the eagle-eyed viewers of you who watched the car start up in my first video where I announced that this was the new car for the channel, that the car is running really bad. It needs a full major service. So the last belt replacement that it had, cam belt replacement, was done in I believe 2008, and that was about 20,000 miles ago. So we're talking about 15 years and 20,000 miles on the cam belts that are on this car. In addition to that, the car is idling at about 5,000 RPM, where for an F355 it should be like 1,000, closer to 1,000 RPM. That's where it should idle. So those are the major things that are wrong with the car. Now, in terms of smaller things that are wrong with the car, there's plenty of those as well. So let's go over them. I have my trusty, my second camera here. So I'll go over them. We'll start at the front of the car. So starting at the front of the car, no surprise there. The front hood shocks are shot. If you look inside the car, the first thing you see when you open up the front door is that this sill plate, and this is actually a very common thing, this sill plate, I don't know how it's stuck on here, if it's adhered on here, but I don't see any screws or anything, but they tend to get rusty and they tend to get a bit of a mess, and this one is pretty bad. Interestingly enough, the one on the other side is in great condition. It's basically perfect. So luckily you can buy these. So this is something that that you can purchase still. I thought maybe I'd have to have an expert fabricate me one, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Another popular thing that happens with these cars is the shift boot, or the boot on the handbrake tends to disintegrate. I have no idea why, because this is real leather, and leather is supposed to be durable. It's supposed to be more durable than this. So that's a bit of a mystery why that happened. Let's get in the car and take a look at some more. Oh, look at, well, isn't this beautiful? Yes, one of the vent grills has a major issue. So that is very hard to get. That's basically an obtainium. So I have to find one from a car that's been salvaged or something along those lines, and tends to be pretty expensive. They usually want like $450 for one of those. Moving around, there's a little bit of wear on the F1 shifters. I don't really care about that very much. Very common in these cars. The leather on the dashboard has shrunk, so you have this attractive thing going on here. Moving down on this car, who knows why, but this console here is a bit knackered, and some of these buttons are just kind of loose. So that's fun. A little bit of wear on the center console. I'm not too concerned about that. That can be touched up a little bit. But one of the biggest annoyances in this car, these seats seem to have been redone, and I think they were done to a pretty high quality, because these the pleats are actually raised up and they look very good, and the leather's a very high quality. It doesn't exactly match the doors, as you could see, but it's not too bad. That's livable. But this bolster, or whatever you want to call this thigh support, is appears to be out of sorts, and you can't just pop it into place. It's just, and it drives me nuts. Just looking at it just drives me crazy. So I got to deal with that. And so that's another fun thing. But I'm gonna have to remove the seats at some point in the future. Now, let's lower the window on the the passenger side. What? Oh, what? Oh, okay. So, don't ask me how that happened, but the passenger side window button has completely left the building, so we need to get another one of those. Other than that, interesting thing. The seats were recovered, or redone, but they managed to preserve the cavallino and the headrest, which I think is pretty cool. We need a little bit of cleanup in here, but aside from that, that's the problem there. Let's move to the back. Moving back, we have the fuel filler door, and it's out of adjustment. So that may be annoying. But what's even more annoying is the fact that the button is not opening the filler door, so I have to do it manually. So that requires pulling on the button and prying that up, which I can't do if I'm holding this. So that's that. Now, moving to the engine of the car. Moving back, we have another lack of shock absorber or struts that hold up the engine cover here. So these need to be replaced. Generally, everything is fairly clean. Interesting thing that the crackle finish on the oil tank, that's what that is. That's the oil tank, because this has a dry sump, is chipping off. I don't know if that's common or not. Certainly annoying. Everything else is fairly in order. It's not too dirty, but as I said, the car is not running well right now, so it needs a major service. I need to spend several weekends just getting this thing right. Oh, also, it could use floor mats. I don't know why cars just never come with floor mats, but yeah, I could use floor mats for this car. And the carpet is pretty dirty. I would actually love to take this to Ammo NYC, Larry, and I would love for him to do a once-over on this car. Not just the interior, but also the exterior. Because the exterior, the paint is shiny, which is good. Shiny paint is always a good thing. But I would say that this car is probably about a 5-footer, because once you get really close to it, you notice that there's a lot of surface scratches. No deep scratches on the paint, but just surface ones. And yeah, it would be really nice to clean that up, particularly because I do love this color. So there you have it. That's the Broko Barchetta. That's everything that's wrong with it. I haven't even gotten into the suspension and anything that may be required underneath the car, because I haven't been underneath the car yet. It's January, it's quite cold out, and I haven't quite done all of that. The number one priority right now is to get the car on the road. So stick with me, like, subscribe, and we will go on this adventure together to figure out what it's going to take to put this car back on the road. And then once it's on the road, I can look at things like suspension, and I think the rear shocks are fairly shot. Not a surprise for a car this age. And we'll see. We'll see if somebody who has a minimum amount of skills, and that's definitely me, can put this car back on the road with these hands. So stay tuned.